What a week. Another win for the Bengals. I won't spend that much time on them. I am going to give the Lions some much-deserved love, and Brock Purdy slaying the GOAT. We have a GOAT in his own right, a legend, Hall of Famer Cris Carter joining us. Haven't talked to him in a while. We'll break down Sunday's action as we piece together the playoff picture. Happy Monday. Let's go. Little emotion out of Herbo, one who people don't say hasn't much emotion that he shows. You love to see it. The Chargers quarterback, listen, he has been getting it from all sides, hearing it all season, but to put on a show to get his team a 23-17 win over the Dolphins, now what? Well, now, my friends, we take our AFC playoff paintbrush, we dip it in lightning yellow, and we draw and paint that bolt, that beautiful bolt right back into the AFC playoff picture. Justin Herbert, what a game last night. That's why my voice is so crazy. I flew across the country, watched this thing, 367 yards and a touchdown, and he looked chef's kiss. Now, did he get some extra sleep? Was it some sort of scathing response to the whole social media quarterback balderdash flying out there? Did he take his Flintstones vitamins? Maybe. Or maybe this is just his third full game with both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams at his disposal. Ding, ding, ding. Maybe that's what it takes. He had receivers. What a thought. And we saw him make throws like this routinely. Amazing. This is a little Mike Williams action, but it's not just Mike Williams. Oh, hello, Herbert to Williams. It's not just, look at that catch. It's not just him. It's not one. It's two guys that are out there capable of making those types of grabs. We talked to Austin Eckler. He's, I think, the only current player on our show that doesn't come on weekly that we've had on our show twice. We did an interview with him the first week, and we just did one with him last week, where I was baffled that he's like the leading receiver for this team. Eckler is awesome, but he should not be your lead dog in the receiving department. I think we saw Justin Herbert in his truest form last night, and let's hear it for the defense. Crazy injuries, major injuries. No Derwin, no Bosa, 3 other starters out. And they still gave the Dolphins, one of the best teams in the NFL, Dolphins, all sorts of problems. Miami, a little too much Art Basel for everybody out there? What's going on? Are we worried? Back-to-back weeks now, teams have gotten aggressive. You can see it out there. They're more physical, and that's what you can maybe do with a smaller, speedy receiving core. And this is what happens. We've seen Tua and the passing game spending their winter break in Struggle City, if you know what I mean. And I'm not ready to hit the panic button. I very much like the Dolphins in the AFC, but they got to figure it out. Why? Because they don't have the time, and they got to go to Buffalo. I'm going to do another Tim Allen. Not good. And I'm excited to have my guest today to start the show, Cris Carter, a Hall of Famer here. And I want to ask him, what does Miami need to do to adjust to the way defenses have sort of figured them out and started to take them on? And let's pop up the playoff picture as we see it, the one that's beautifully stroked and put together. Yep. So here's what happens. The Chargers, they sneak into the final wild card spot. Sorry, Jets. Sorry, Salah. And the JETSs, the Dolphins, they fall 2 games back of Buffalo now and just a game up on LA and New York. It's important to note the Jets and Chargers currently hold tiebreakers over Miami as well. So they're far from a sure thing to get into the dance right now. Hit me up at Hey K Adams, at Up and Adams Show. And here's what else happened yesterday. Okay. The series premiere of the Brock Purdy experience has been mind-blowing so far. Listen, I don't watch a ton of TV, but I know this. Series premieres go one of 2 ways. I watch lots of series premiere, and I either stop watching or I keep going. You're a slow burn like an Ozark or a Breaking Bad or a Parks and Rec, and hot take, even Seinfeld. Yeah, even Seinfeld slow out the gates. There's low fanfare, there's character development, blah, blah, blah. They almost cancel your show, and then it somehow grabs you and lights on fire. Or you're a series premiere and you pop on the screen. You are Matthew Fox in Lost, bartering for extra vodka bottles in the airplane when Oceanic 815 goes down, and I'm thinking, who the heck is Jacob for the next 5 years? Dr. Jack Shepard is Brock Purdy, smacking a goat and the Bucs around to the tune of 35-7. Here are the leading actors after this week's episode.
Good play, my man. You played great. Keep it up. Keep going. All right.
to make your first career start as a 7th-round draft pick against Tom Brady in his hometown and not only be completely unfazed but absolutely obliterate said GOAT, that's sort of unbelievable. Of course, Purdy had plenty of help from the Niners, star playmakers. That defense putting up another gem didn't hurt as well, but look at what he was able to do on the day. You cannot take this away from him. Purdy finished 16 for 21 with 3 total touchdowns and a 134 passer rating. Now, I always try to give young quarterbacks time before I like to get excited. I always say, well, who knows what happened? He was in, the defense wasn't ready for him. But this was hard. It is hard to watch this game and not say, oh, I will sign up for the free trial of the ABC Go login back in 2011 to watch episode 2 of Lost. I want to know, not Penny's boat, whose boat was it? I'm getting amped up about what this rookie is able to do out there. Do you remember that, ABC Go? And then you have to, the commercial, that was the worst. Okay, I said on Friday this game would teach us a lot about both teams. We learned Purdy's good enough to keep this Niners offense rolling. That's now 6 straight wins for San Francisco, 6. And we learned that the comeback win over the Saints didn't solve anything for Tampa. They've got serious issues out the wazoo that they need to work out. I mean, at the playoff picture, we look upon it. The Niners have opened a 2-game lead in the NFC West. They can put the division away with the win on Thursday night in Seattle. Meanwhile, the Bucs division lead down just a game. And watch out for those Panthers, people. They've won 3 out of 4. Darnold playing well. They have already beaten Tampa once this season, so you got to look at that. All right, another thing, Cris Carter on the way. I think we're getting him checked in now. I cannot say enough about what the Lions are doing. A lot of fans took Detroit being favored over Minnesota yesterday as a massive sign of disrespect for what the Vikings have accomplished in said season. Welp, the Lions said, shut up. They controlled the game throughout, and they came up with the 34-23 win. So now it's 5 that they've won over the last 6, and let's take a look at this. The ties make it a headache. Oh, jazzy music here. With the Giants and Seahawks losing, Detroit is... are they going to be in the playoffs? They are inching closer and closer. They are just 1 game back in the win column of both New York and Washington. And I think there's a few factors driving the run that we saw on display yesterday. The defense, they're not the best, but they've gotten a lot better. They give up some yards through the air to Cousins, and I mean, you couldn't stop Jefferson career high last day. I'll ask Cris Carter about that. But it was like eating a thing of Twizzlers, empty calories, right? They held Dalvin Cook to just 23 yards on 15 carries. They still did their things that were better. And the second thing that I noticed was something that I went in depth on last week, and that is, why are we sleeping on Jared Goff? His struggles earlier in the year, that was when Amon-Ra, St. Brown, DJ Chark, they were injured, and he finally has both at full strength. Does this sound familiar? Was I not just saying this about Herbert getting Keenan Allen and Mike Williams back, and that's why he had success on Sunday night? Receivers, like, they're kind of sort of like important, okay? And Jameson Williams is out there as well, a rookie. So 330 yards, 3 touchdowns yesterday, and look what he's done over these last 3 games now. Oh, Jared Goff, 2nd in yards, tied for 1st in touchdowns to interceptions ratio, 3rd in passer rating. You surround him with good, healthy receivers, and he's going to show what he can do under the stewardship of Dan Campbell. I think the thought earlier this year was, hey, the Lions have got some young, good talent, and once they have a solution at quarterback, once they figure out that riddle and get a real guy in the building as a franchise face of the thing, maybe they'll be okay. Maybe they'll be all right. And then, of course, Aaron Rodgers will leave, too, and that'll be the real thing to make it happen. No. I think we are seeing Jared Goff say, no, I'm the guy, and maybe it wasn't all Sean McVay after all. Now, do we have time to give love to the team that I love, Conrad? Okay. The Bengals. I think people want to say, why do you keep talking about the Bengals? Well, maybe if they stopped winning, I would have a reason to. But Joe Burrow could never beat the Browns. It's all we talked about all week, all we heard about, and he got to win. He got to win 23-10. They looked great defensive performances. DJ Reader doing his thing. Jesse Bates with a huge play that I was on my couch jumping up and down for a lot of reasons, as you can imagine. If the Bengals had simply come in and win, I probably, wouldn't be talking about them. But the fact that the offense lost Higgins and Tyler Boyd right in the beginning, the first 2 snaps of the game, people, and they still found a way to make it work. It's as if when they lose a superstar, it helps them develop chemistry and other. Marissa, have you heard this before? Have we talked about this? Yes, they've had issues, all sorts of them, all year, and for them to overcome it is absolutely remarkable. A flea flicker to Trenton Irwin. Really? That's what we're looking at here? 9 to Irwin. Let's go. Why not? Diving catch. Trent Taylor, like, I think I can do a diving catch today. Fine, sure, yeah. Burrow and Jamar were brilliant, as they always are. The run game took over with Mixon and P. Right now you got two guys that have some sort of chemistry and have some bravado and have some confidence in what they're doing. The defense was incredible, and the Bengals keep rolling. This team's playing at such a high level across the board. You know I love a complete team. If you know one thing about me, you're doing that on both sides, you have my attention. 5 straight wins. The Ravens still somehow control the North thanks to that head-to-head win over Cincy. The Bengals have moved up to the 5 seed, meaning they've had a rematch with Tennessee on Wild Card Weekend with where things stand today. So hopefully the injuries to Boyd and Higgins are not serious and they will need them back for sure. But it was awesome to see the team adapt. Like I said, they adapt, and rise to the occasion. And that's sort of what's shaking with them. We've got the playoff picture to break down. We're going to take a short break here. We're trying to get Cris Carter. Maybe he's standing me up. I don't think so. I got questions to him about Tua. We got questions. Oh, they're checking him in. We got Cris Carter on the show after this, and I have a million questions. I hope you're ready, Carter.
Hall of Fame. Going long for Cris Carter. Are you kidding me? What do you sell them? Hall of Fame.
How does he catch like that? I don't understand how it happens. I love those highlights. Joining us now, a wide receiver, a legend who played 16 seasons in the NFL, 3-time All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, and a Walter Payton Man of the Year, someone I haven't talked to in a long time, Mr. Cris Carter.
What's going on with you?
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm awesome. It's crazy. The AFC, the NFC pictures are sort of happening here. You are the perfect person to talk to. You ready to dig in?
Let's do it.
All right, Cris Carter joining me, a Hall of Famer, talking Chargers and Dolphins, 23-17 last night. Justin Herbert, I was just talking about it. He looked really impressive, but he's getting a lot of heat this year. Do you think it's warranted? He had his 2 receivers back last night.
Well, a lot of it's based on expectations. What he showed us in the first 2 years that he could be the face of the NFL for the next 15 years. But when you get injured, no one makes excuses, but people still want you to play at a high level. But he had some really hard injuries that are hard to play at a high level for a quarterback. So that's why his play suffered, not only his injuries, but the injuries to the rest of the team, his receiving core. It's hard for him to play up to his ability when he didn't have the support and cast. So the expectations were so high. But as you can see last night, why did people have those expectations? It's because he has the set, not only the psyche, the mentality, the temperament, but the arm talent, the ability to be able to run and get out of trouble, not force the football. This makes him a superstar in this league.
And we'll see, and they're sitting there in a final wild card situation, and if they get in, we'll see what Staley and that aggressive play calling will get them. Their defense super banged up. I want to talk about the Dolphins side of this, because somehow defenses are slowly adjusting to this small, fast offense that they're rolling out there. Tua's had a couple rough weeks now, Cris. How did the Dolphins adjust right back?
I think that, first of all, we can't overreact to San Francisco. San Francisco can shut down any offense. That's what happened to them. These long trips to the West Coast, typically they don't go well. They stayed out there in L.A. to be able to play the to be able to play the Chargers. So that right there, getting them out of sync. I wouldn't overreact, because when you look at the Dolphins coming into the season, and you would say, okay, after week number 12, Tua's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. They're like, wow, I would take that. Now, we have to give the coach and his program a little bit of time, because he comes from a running mentality. But he's had a couple key offensive linemen out the last couple weeks, and it's hard to have a physical mentality when you're rotating offensive linemen and when they're not practicing. So I believe he'll get that running game together. But with that play action pass, you have to have a running attack. No, they haven't called up to him and figured it out. He's just had a couple weeks in a row, he's run into a couple good defenses. And I was shocked last night that they couldn't run the ball against one of the worst run defenses in the NFL.
A legend, Cris Carter, saying maybe don't overreact on what's going on with Tua Tagovailoa. Are you as impressed as I am and most people are with Mike McDaniel?
Oh, absolutely. Even when you listen to his interview, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like last night, they're interviewing him before the game. It was like he wanted to keep going. compared to most coaches giving you the stock answers, his press conferences. So he's a breath of fresh air into a coaching profession that's been dominated by, very few stereotypes, but that old grandfather yelling at you in your face type, that mold in the NFL in their last several hires has been broken, and I think it's refreshing.
Cris Carter, how would you be with a coach like Mike McDaniel, one that's kind of loosey-goosey and he's not as authoritative as other coaches are?
Well, I think that don't take the kindness for weakness.
Yeah.
Because, in those NFL locker room, NFL players are crazy. So you have to be able to put your foot down. So it's a respect factor. He respects us as human beings. I'm going to respect him and also have a job to do. And it's important for him to get his job done. I got to do my job. So we're in partnership together. It would have been a blast.
And they're winning, and they just need to, or they were winning, and now they need to find a run game or a way to adjust there. Let's move on to one of your other former teams, the Eagles. So they beat the New York Giants in dominating fashion, Chris, 48-22. They're 12-1. 12-1. They're the first team to clinch a playoff spot. What have you seen specifically in that Cris Carter way about this Eagles squad that's the biggest factor for their return to greatness?
Well, they're the most dominating team in the NFL. If you took every minute of football played in every game, there's been no team that's been more in control of the football game than the Philadelphia Eagles, regardless of who they've played. Now, you and I have talked about this for a while. They have a great offensive line that's been underrated, unheralded. They have a great defensive line. But the difference is the playmakers. People say, A.J. Brown being traded. That's very obvious because now they have a combination on their offense as far as who Jalen wants to go to. Because to me, as a receiving core, I want it like a basketball team. I want a guy who can score. I want a point guard. I want a slasher. I want a guy who's going to be an enforcer. And for them to get off of Zach Ertz and allow these younger wide receivers to take over their passing game with Jalen, that's a big moment. And on the defense, their linebacking core has been weak for several years. Their secondary has been weak for several years, and they have playmakers on both levels of the defense now. So they're a triple threat on the defense, like Beyonce, sing, can do it all. You know how it goes, Kate.
I know how it goes. I was waiting for a Beyonce reference out of you. Okay, so here's what I'm hearing. They're perfect. I mean, Beyonce, you can't really, there's not really a flaw.
No, not perfect. There's no perfect team. Even Beyonce wears a little makeup and everything.
Don't do that. You're going to get it on Twitter. I didn't say it. I love Beyonce. Hi, I love you. I love the B emoji. Do not come after me.
I got you. I understand. Be hot. Be nice.
Well, tell me about these Eagles then. They're everyone's favorite. Sounds like they're yours. Who is representing the NFC in the Super Bowl?
Well, who do you think can go into Philadelphia and be able to beat them? With that crowd, that's a tough task. I believe there's only a couple teams can probably do that. One being San Francisco, if they're able to get healthy enough, because they can take them out of their running game with a minimum amount of people committed to the line of scrimmage, and they have game records on their defense that can change a game in that type of setting. So I do believe the Dallas Cowboys are a good matchup against them. I don't think playing them late in the season will help Dallas out. I believe Philadelphia will have home field, have it wrapped up after the Vikings losing in Detroit yesterday. So to me, I think the best matchup would be the San Francisco 49ers.
Always a tough out. Ask Aaron Rodgers. And I wish I could say your Vikings, and I wanted to bring them up, and maybe if they had won yesterday, but this terrible loss. And it's really the defense. And that has to suck if you're Justin Jefferson having a career day out there, just put plainly, and you're doing all this offense, and then the defense sort of struggles. It has to be gut punching. What is that like? How does it, I hear a lot, and you got to take me in the locker room, when, there can be some dysfunct or some resentment harbored when you're not doing your job, but we're doing this huge effort on offense. Does that actually affect the team?
Well, it affects the team because everyone's picking up a check. And, on my check, it says my name. So I like to be able to do my job. But when you look at in the history of the Minnesota Vikings, I think this is the first time that the defenses gave up 5 consecutive 400-yard games defensively. So when you're setting records on the negative side, the criticism is there. Now, I don't look at this loss as devastating as you do. To me, this is This is their third worst loss that they've had this year. The loss to Dallas was the worst. Philadelphia on Monday night, prime time, them not getting it done. That was second, but this was third. Detroit is an underrated team, and they match up. Especially you have Harrison Smith out of the game. What happened to the defense? We know they don't give up a lot of yards, but gave up 2 big pass plays that Harrison Smith could have played a role in if he's in the game. And then you're missing 2 starting offensive linemen against Detroit. They have a top 10, maybe a top 5 defensive front. Offensive line is top 5 in the NFL. So they match up well. So for me, watching the game, I was apprehensive going into the game, knowing that we had some matchup problems, and Detroit exploited that, and you can see that's why they won the game.
I think there's still questions about unfortunately, should there be questions about Kirk Cousins anymore? Because we're talking about Brock Purdy and his Niners being the team that could go into Philly and take out Jalen Hurts and company. So does the quarterback position super matter in the NFC right now? Because it looks like, I'm thinking about Kirk Cousins. Should he be getting that little bit of hesitancy that he still clearly gets from fans out there?
Well, this is the thing. His primetime record is what it is. They were able to get the big win in Buffalo. That was one of the biggest wins the Vikings have had in a number of years. But no other quarterback in the NFL gets more criticism for the inefficiencies of other parts of the team than Kirk Cousins. If a guy misses a field goal, man, Kirk Cousins, man, we paid him all that guaranteed money. Now we're getting an extension. Man, the DBs are getting burnt toast up and down the field. Man, Kirk Cousins. Can't believe in old Kirk Cousins. Run game. They run on us right up through the gut. Oh, man, that old Kirk Cousins. But when you look at it, Kirk Cousins, just like Jared Goff, these guys, people don't respect them, but they are more than enough as far as a quarterback. Now, can they go into Philadelphia? Can they go into San Francisco to be able to win a playoff game? We have too many great throwers of the football in the league right now. You have to be able to pack your defense. So for me, Kirk Cousins, if that defense gets better, Kirk Cousins and their chances of advancing, they go way up, just like the rest of the quarterbacks.
Well, I'm looking at Twitter, and I'm hearing you say, I didn't know that record. 5 straight games of 400 yards allowed. That sounds bad. You mentioned the DBs there. They're the 32 ranked secondary in the National Football League, and the fan base sees a Super Bowl ahead. They want that, and they seem fed up, and they want to change. There's a lot of fire defensive coordinator Ed Donatel out there. Do they need to make a change?
I think with the personnel, if you look at this is the first year. Like, this is not a Vikings regime that, oh, man, they went to the playoffs. Oh, man, they were disappointment. They were the number 1 seed. The head coach, the general manager, the ownership is the same, but we got to give them an opportunity. This is the first year. I mean, their head coach, man, he's just a baby.
Yeah.
And if you look at how he's handled the first 10, 12 games of his career, how he's handled adversity, how he's handled the injury situations, like the Vikings have something special in the head coach. They went unconventional as far as the general manager, how they're going to pick their players. Being at the facility, how they want the players to operate, how they want the players to act and be themselves. It's totally different than being under Zimmer. So let's give it time with free agency because they got money and they plan on spending it. Let free agency and a couple off seasons with this program see, because Ed Donatel is a quality football coach. And when he has good football players, his defenses do well. That's what I know about Ed Donatel the last 25 years in the NFL. Ed
Donatel that's a huge vote of confidence for him that I know that's going to mean a lot to Vikings fans. You mentioned the money. Are they going to have all the money after they break off your boy Justin Jefferson? Because I know you were telling them to pay him.
Oh, we can get a discount right now. Justin Jefferson's got the blue light special on. Let's sign him up, $35 million a year, tear up his contract. This dude is ridiculous.
So more than Adams. You want him to break highest paid wide receiver?
Absolutely. By the time his contract is available, they're going to have to go find some money for him. if wide receiver, if there are categories, and that being releases off the line of scrimmage, catching the ball in traffic, running with the football, he does all these things at an elite level. Okay, if I was the greatest Viking to play wide receiver, I'm just holding the crown now until he wants. Until he Debo's me and say, man, give me my crown.
No.
God is my witness. He does things at a higher level than any wide receiver, more of them that has played for the Vikings. And we had some great ones, and we got a couple that wear gold jackets.
Now,
his run out catch, his hips, his ability to be able to run routes without slowing in and out of his break it's ridiculous. The kid is amazing, and his hunger, his showmanship. Oh man, he was built to play the position.
Okay, well, he's on, and he broke a record yesterday. I like hearing you say, I don't like the crown holding. I want you to say, I'm the best ever. It's too early for him. I played in a different time, different stakes, but he had a great game. I mean, career high, 223 receiving yards for him just yesterday, and he's on pace to challenge Calvin Johnson's all-time single-season record. But the history of receiver with the Vikings is so rich with you and Randy, of course. So if you were to rank them for 2023 December 2022 rather, is it Randy Moss, Cris Carter, Justin Jefferson? What's the order?
Well, in all respect, I will take the third position. I believe both of them had a lot more athletic ability than myself. I will make Randy Moss second, and that's a high second, because I do believe that Justin does a few things better than him. Catching the ball in traffic, his ability to get in and out of his breaks, the variety in his routes. He goes in motion a lot more than Moss would ever go in motion. Randy Moss is a bad dude, first ballot Hall of Famer. But it lets you know, it's not to speak bad about Randy, it lets you know how good Justin Jefferson is. Now, Randy, at this level, had still scored, I think, 10 or 15 more touchdowns. But Randy also in them first 3 years had me on the other side compared to Adam Thielen. God bless Adam Thielen. But it was a different game. I do believe that him and Randy Moss, neck and neck, but Justin can do so many things at an elite level. It is what it is, man. When you see a unicorn, you tell people, hey, man, that's a unicorn.
Randy Moss is a unicorn. I think a lot of people would say Randy Moss is the most dynamic receiver that ever played the game. To see him second on your list is a little bit stunning for me this morning. I was not ready for that.
Well, a lot of people probably won't be ready for it, but I was there his first 3 or 4 years. I know what he could do, and every receiver has holes in their arsenal. Even guys with gold jackets have holes in their arsenal. Justin Jefferson, there are no holes. There is no what he can't do. And everything that he does at a high level. Releases off the line of scrimmage, recognizing coverages, catching the ball in traffic, durability, showmanship, scoring, running after the catch. I mean, what else? What else are you going to judge on?
Okay, so tell me this. Well, but you're blowing my mind. I mean, you're acting like this is. I mean, first of all, Lola and Pablo would say that you're number one, Cris Carter, first of all. Your little adorable puppies who I love and miss hearing about every morning. But this is a stunning take by you. It just really is. I figured it would be, it's always wise to say yourself, then Randy, then Justin Jefferson, because he hasn't earned it yet. So I ask you, if you're telling me that Justin Jefferson is better.
Justin Jefferson has the ability to be better. Randy's done it. I've done it. Justin Jefferson has the ability to be better. He does things at a higher level than we could do it. Now, can he sustain those things?
Yeah.
That's him.
Understood, but if you're putting him above already, you and Randy Moss, Cris Carter and Randy Moss, are we going to be putting him in the conversation in your projections with Jerry Rice, whose records are unbreakable, likely?
No, he's not going to be able to compete with Jerry Rice. No one will ever be able to compete with those numbers. Okay. I mean, you have to have 10, 1,500 yard seasons and 3 2,000-yard seasons, and you're still short.
Well, that's what I think. I think that's so insane. Numbers aren't everything, though, right? Because I was looking yesterday and said it was a great game for Justin Jefferson. But I wonder if you asked him Is that the best game you've ever had? Is that your favorite game? I don't know if he'd say that with those 223. And I was looking at your game.
No.
Your career best game was the game against Chicago, I believe. And you had 3 touchdowns. Am I right? In that game, like career best yardage game in that one. But I want to know from you, what is the best game Cris Carter has played using the definition that suits you? Your best or favorite game ever?
I think a lot of times it's when you're younger and you're really trying to prove yourself or make a mark. And I got cut by Philadelphia. And I think 5 or 6 weeks later, not even knowing the Vikings offense and getting an opportunity to start before the game because Anthony Carter strained his hamstring, not even knowing the day before I would be starting, playing against the Eagles and that defense on Monday night against Buddy Ryan. That was the best game for me.
Look at this. Talk me through this.
Well, the reason in it was because I did everything that they said that I couldn't do. They said I wasn't a deep threat. They said I wasn't a consistent route runner. You'll see right there, I made a big loop around because the Eagles sideline was on that side. I wanted to make sure Buddy Ryan got a good look at the guy he had just cut a month and a half earlier. And, you know, I had played against the defense 3 straight years in practice, so I was very, very comfortable that if I got in a situation and we could protect the quarterback, that I could do some things against their secondary. So proving yourself, and it allowed me to reestablish myself in Minnesota. I think that after that game, people looked at me and said, wow, this kid goes into the vet. He does that to the Eagles. We might have something special. And I think that the play calling and everything else surrounding me being in Minnesota changed after that night.
Cris, will you please stay through a break and talk a little Tom Brady with me?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do Bucks. We got Cris Carter. Send in your questions. Incredible stuff. We will hit some of the other games from yesterday right after the break. Hanging out with Cris Carter, a Hall of Famer and third, apparently. Such a humble statement by you. I'm still.
I mean, why? What surprises you?
I don't know. It's not like I don't know. It surprises me that you would put, but then you hedged it a little bit because I asked you in December 2022, rank those 3 wide receivers, Cris Carter, Randy Moss, and Justin Jefferson, and then you put him at number 1, but you said he has the ability to be the best. So he's not the best yet.
Yes. Randy Moss had the ability to do things that I could think of. Like I could think of things and tell Randy, hey, when you come out of your break, I want you to jab step a little to the safety. Because I didn't have the same type of quickness that he had at the top of the route. So I give him credit for that. Randy was a great showman. He dominated the NFL. So I can understand why he would be a higher ranked wide receiver. That's why he's first ballot Hall of Fame. What Justin Jefferson does and the level for which he does them at, I have to respect that. Like it is what it is.
Yeah. And that's why you're objective, and that's why you're such a mentor to most of these young wide receivers. They're always bothering you and asking. I mean, I sat at Good Morning Football next to Cris Carter for weeks. We worked together, and I won't say the names. People calling Cris Carter, asking him for advice, asking him things. You're so connected, not even with players, but front offices and coaches, but young players calling up Cris Carter, asking him what to do, how to handle things. And I think that's, your ability to separate and to be objective, I think, is why you still resonate so much with some of these guys when some of other receivers that are prolific, that have those gold jackets, some of the connective tissue really isn't there, Cris.
Well, if you just look at how this league and players like myself, other veteran players, did things so that I can be better, giving me information, tips, so that I can get the best out of my career. And for me, continuing to work with the National Football League, continuing to work with its broadcast partners, continuing to work with the product, that's the players. So we have entry-level players we work with, and having an association with them is huge, being a mentor at the combine. As soon as we get them, their last college game, being able to let them know what it takes to play in this league and to be able to play for a long time. Because just because you get drafted, that doesn't mean you're going to have an NFL career. Mm-hmm. You have an opportunity. And what we're trying to do is to get them to turn that opportunity into a real career, which we had to be able to enjoy for a long period of time. And that's what we want for them.
Tom Brady has had a long career, and it's really well said by you. And I want him to have that same resonance, that same thing that you do. Players reach out to you, you reach out to them, you're not on the field, he is, and yet you cannot tell me, we talked about the Niners side, this Bucs side, they can't get it going consistently. You see things very differently and very clearly. Tell me what you are seeing between Brady and his wide receivers and why there is an obvious disconnect there.
Well, I think that
Chris.
I have to be careful when I say this, but if you look at the connection with Brady and Evans, I think that both of them, for where they are in their career, are just a little tired. Tom's a little out of sync, and because of injuries, you can see that he can't get the top speed, and he doesn't have Antonio Brown. He doesn't have Gronk on the other side, and you can see the frustrating mounting. The one thing about Tom Brady that he didn't read the manual for was there is no exit strategy for the NFL. You get in, you try to play as long as you can. Now, he has thrown pie in the face of Father Time, but Father Time will get the last say. And with the injuries, and with not being able to protect him, and Tom Brady never signed up for the physical part of this football. So now people can get closer to him. He's not built for that. And how much longer should he continue to play? All those things are still going on in his mind. Man, I signed up for this. Man, I could be on TV making 30, 40 million. Man, I could be sitting at the crib doing this. And then now, the personal issues, man, I've lost my family over this game, and now I'm not having the type of success I'm used to having. Oh, man, I guarantee you he's second-guessing himself.
You think Tom Brady's you think he regrets coming back?
I regret, if I could speak for Tom, which I can't, he probably regrets us knowing the information that we know now. He would have much rather been out of the game and then him not being able to salvage the relationship with his spouse. But every day being in the news and that type of thing, man, that's not, that wears on you.
Part of me, though, Chris, part of me is like, I think if Tom Brady played for the Chicago Bears and it went poorly, he would almost prefer that than not playing at all. I think he's some sort of different wired animal where he just doesn't, it's not it's the winning he's obsessed with, but it's the playing that he can't seem to walk away from. So I'm looking, I'm thinking about it. There's a lot of smoke behind him continuing to play. We keep hearing about that. Yeah. Do you think that he goes somewhere else next year, or do you think he hangs it up?
Okay, you got it right. Tom Brady's crazy. He's crazy about this girl, and it's called football.
Yeah.
And the Super Bowl in Tampa, I'm going to share this with you.
Okay.
The night before the game, I happened to meet up with Tom Brady's dad and asked him what he thought, what he thought about the game, the opportunity to win again. He said the only thing he's worried about is the kid. The kid won't go home. He said the kid is outside still playing and he won't come in. It's raining, everything. He said, I'm only afraid that the kid won't stop playing even if he wins. He won that game and he's still playing. So the dad told me. So it is a problem. And
where's he going to go?
NFL is a drug, man. And there is no other office job. There is no other partnership. There is no other relationship. Like, we got great players broadcasting, running teams, doing. It's nothing like the NFL. And it's not a close second. I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what kind of money they make. Because to have people cheer you and the people cheer against you, and you to overcome all the odds, 70, 80,000, week after week, year after year, to host a Lombardi 7 times, man, that's a drug, and he's got it. He's got it bad. Okay,
but the story with drugs sometimes it ends okay, and sometimes there's help and there's a situation, and sometimes it's bad. So talk to me about how it ends for Tom Brady. How does it end? What is it going to take for him to come in from outside as a kid playing football?
Everyone remembers Michael Strahan walking off. Everybody remembers Ray Lewis walking off. But the truth of the matter is they couldn't play no more. Their bodies were wrecked and everything, and if they could keep going. Tom, is healthy enough to continue going. But there is no exit strategy. And his career will end just like Dan Marino. It will end just like Joe Montana. It will end just like Walter Payton. Everybody's still wanting another drink at the cup. But realizing, man, time has passed me by. With all the accolades that he has, the greatest football player, and there is no dispute about it. But it lets you know how phenomenal it is to be a player in the NFL and how precious it is.
It's so true. On the other side of this one is Brock. I mean, it can't be good to be the GOAT out there playing in your hometown, and Brock Purdy shows you up. Brock Purdy looks unbelievable. I mean, stop. He looked really, I believe in Purdy, don't you?
This is what, and people keep missing this. I believe in Kyle Shanahan. I believe that whoever he has in that quarterback room will be taught at an elite level. It's just like Sean McVay. People, oh man, Baker Mayfield resurrect his career. I believe in Sean McVay. Like, these guys are special at what they do, and that's why they get the best out of the talent there. And Purdy is a product of sitting there, listening to Kyle, listening to their system, and the other quarterbacks there. But he can play in this league if he's in the right system. Okay. And Kyle Shanahan, you have to give him a lot of credit for getting that kid ready and the way he delivered the football. He
looked so good, and there is a report this morning. They're looking at his oblique. He apparently injured it in the second quarter. This just came out, but he played through it, but they've got a short turnaround, so we're, of course, looking at that. The bigger injury on the Niners, and there's defensive ones we can get into, is Deebo Samuel. Now, he's, in my opinion, a game changer. I want your opinion on this, and what do you think their chances moving forward without him, because we don't know exactly how long he'll be out. He's carted off the field. It was an ankle sprain. Can the Niners keep it going without him?
It's going to be hard because they have a very, very different offense. Now, it seemed like vertically they challenged the defense more down the field. And if they can continue to do that, it should open up things. But what I would be concerned about is a normal high ankle sprain for a wide receiver. And typically, as a wide receiver, when you're outside, it only affects you a certain degree, especially when you take off and then when you stop. But when you are a utility player and you are running the ball, the high ankle sprain has no stability. So for you moving laterally, it becomes hard. So for me, this is not a regular wide receiver injury. He runs the ball. They pitch him the ball. He plays tailback. And I do believe that will be affected more than if he was just a pure wide receiver playing outside the numbers or playing in the slot. So for me, that's what I'm going to watch for. Not only when will he be back, but when will he be back healthy enough that he could be Deebo? Because you need your ankles to play with that type of mentality. Like, you need to be healthy.
Yeah, it's not always certain that Christian McCaffrey will stay healthy into the playoffs. He's never played in the playoffs before. There's always issues with that, so something to certainly keep an eye on. All right, we hit Beyonce, Lola, Pablo, Tom Brady Sr., and all of it. Cris Carter, it is so good to see you, and hopefully we can have you back. Or next time you're in LA, you got to come in person. I know you're enjoying life in Florida, though. I know. It is hard to get you to leave Florida.
You see the sunshine?
I do. You're the best and an absolute legend. Thank you.
Thank you. Be good, Kay.
Thank you.
Much success.
I will. See you soon, hopefully. We'll be back right here on Up and Adams. Coming up, local heroes. A certain someone from Jacksonville showed up and showed out. We will get to that. Big thanks to Cris Carter. Doesn't have to make the time, makes the time. I appreciate it. Some performances get lost in the shuffle on Sunday. So many games. Scott Hansen, Andrew Siciliano, they move on too quick. From this to that to that. I'd never pee in 8 hours. And then you lose it. And it gets lost in the Sunday sauce. So that's what we do here, spotlighting the local heroes. And I want to talk about one from a team that I don't know have talked about much other than having their mascot in a Speedo. I think that's literally the only thing we've talked about with Jacksonville this year. Thanks, Brian. Brian's laughing. The Jags. 36-22. I want to talk about Evan Engram. They beat the Titans. Sorry, Titans fans. We know you watch and we appreciate it. But Engram set career highs across the board. 11 catches, 162 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including, we just want to show this. Look at this grab. All right, Trevor Little. Ooh, ow! Man, this former first rounder took a lot of heat from Giants fans over the last few years. Can't stay healthy, can't get your ball to save him life. He was basically the Nelson Aguilar fire truck thing of the tri-state metropolitan area of New York City. He couldn't catch. He's got drops. So it's awesome to see him get a fresh start. We are a fresh start show. We are a take-two, revitalize hero show. And he's a local hero today. The Jags clawing their way back within 2 games of the free-falling Titans for the AFC South lead. Titans, don't squander this. Don't do it. Should they put in a claim for Baker Mayfield? Magic Mayfield out here? I don't know. Instead of Ryan Tannehill and what's going on over there. We'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. We got more to come here. Hamilton and I will take you through the madness of yesterday. NFL Week 14 comes to a close in Arizona tonight, home of the Super Bowl. There's a potential playoff spot, not the only thing on the line when you enter Monday Night Perfect Picks presented by Visa. All you got to do is answer 10 questions about tonight's matchup, and you can win a share of $10,000 in cash prizes. That easy. Visit FanDuel.com to enter as I say hello to my little friend, Matthew Hamilton. What's going on, man?
What's up, Kat? How's it going?
I don't know what time zone I'm in, but here I am. Good game of football. Good day of football yesterday, no?
Yeah, it really was. Right. A lot of excitement. I got to tell you, I'm getting kind of hyped up about Brock Purdy. I understand what Cris Carter was saying and Kyle Shanahan and all that, but I don't know if Nick Mullins is doing what Brock Purdy did yesterday. I don't think we could just totally dismiss it.
I'll say this. On every call and I talk to Hamilton literally 17 times a day. Every time Brock Purdy came up, I could tell that Hamilton's trying not to take the bait and get reeled in by Purdy. But we should have. We should have done the whole, we're all in on Purdy because we would have looked so smart for what he did yesterday. But you wanted to, but you stopped yourself, which I respect, and it was the right decision. But you were eating all the Kool-Aid, drinking it all.
Yeah, and I try not to do that, just like you. I try, we got to take things with a grain of salt, get enough of a sample size before we really make declarative statements. But there's clearly something special about this kid that the team's rallying around,
so
and I don't think you can totally dismiss that. I'm in. Let's do it. We're in.
Yeah, I think I was worried about if we're in, what does it mean for the perception of Jimmy Garoppolo to protect him and put him in bubble wrap? But now, Jimmy G, well, see you later. We're on the Brock Purdy train here on Up and Adams Show. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you to Cris Carter for spending so much time with us to kick off a big week. Lots of great guests on the show.